Hey y'all, it's your girl Kat. Welcome back to Chat with Kat. This is actually going to be a short compared to the longer videos that I've done. And in this episode, we will talk about real life, raw truths, and the journey to transformation, one conversation at a time. Today's episode is one of those that moved me to my core. I just finished watching the FX series Dying for Sex, which is based on the podcast of the same name. It's the true story of a woman named Molly who, after being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, decides to leave her unfulfilling marriage and go on this bold, wild, intimate journey of sexual exploration. But let me be clear, it's not just about sex. It's about choosing life in the face of death. It's about reclaiming your body when illness tries to take it from you. It's about pleasure as protest. And honestly, it's about how you question how alive you are, but are you really living? So today I want to unpack what the story stirred up in me. What we're going to talk about is sex, shame, desire, power, and what it really means to take your pleasure back before it's too late. Now let's get into it. Here's Molly's story and her reaction. So here's the story in a nutshell. Molly is in her early 40s, married, dealing with a diagnosis that left her staring death in the face. She had stage 4 breast cancer. And while everyone else around her was focused on treatment, survival, or what should come next, Molly realized she was starving for something way deeper: intimacy, pleasure, aliveness. She left her husband and she didn't run towards another serious relationship. She ran towards sexual freedom, adventures, new experiences, some wild, some tender, and some downright hilarious. And she documented them all in conversations with her best friend on the podcast. Now, when I watched the show and listened to the original podcast, I just didn't hear a woman dying. I heard a woman finally living. And I'll be honest with y'all, it hit me hard because how many of us are waiting for some life altering event, some diagnosis, to finally give ourselves permission to feel, to want what we want, to ask for what we need, to even admit we still want? Molly didn't die for sex, she lived for it. And it was how she reclaimed her sense of self. It wasn't about being wild or reckless, it was about being whole again. Now, let's unpack the deeper conversations of sex, power, and the urgency to live. Now, sex as a rebellion was her goal, right? We live in a world that often tells sick people, especially sick women, to be quiet, to be grateful that they're still here, to sit still, to shrink. And Molly said, nope. She used sex to feel alive again. She rebelled against the idea that her body was just this medical project where she was poked and prod. She took it back. She used pleasure as her power. Now think about it. How often are women over their 40s, over 50, over anything told they're no longer desirable, that their sexually or their sexuality is behind them? Molly's story says, nah, sis. Desire doesn't have an expiration date. Your orgasms are still yours. Your body is still yours. Your pleasure still matters. Now, the desire versus shame that is often in that women are stigmatized. Now, one hit home because even now in 2025, women are still judged for wanting sex, especially if it doesn't come with a ring, a title, or a long-term plan. But Molly stripped that shame off. She said, this is what I want, and I'm not apologizing for it. Now, here's the thing: facing death will wake you up. It's wild how often it takes something tragic for us to get honest with ourselves. When you're on the clock, you don't waste time pretending. Molly made choices from a place of urgency, and it made me wonder, what would I do differently if I really believed time was running out? So, your body and it's your rules. Illness doesn't erase your right to feel good. Aging doesn't disqualify you from intimacy. Whether your body has scars, stretch marks, surgeries, or stories, it still deserves to be touched, loved, desired, and enjoyed. Period. Your freedom is in your fantasy. Molly's stories weren't just about the physical, they were about liberation. She explored fantasies she never voiced before. She played with power dynamics. She just totally let go. Made you think or made you ask yourself, what fantasies am I afraid to admit? What would freedom look like to me? What would freedom look like to you? So here's my personal reflection to you. And if I'm being real, I've denied myself pleasure more than times than I can count. Sometimes out of fear, and sometimes because I felt like I didn't deserve it. Other times because I was too tired from just surviving. But Molly's story reminded me that desire is not selfish, it's sacred. And I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about passion, curiosity, intimacy, joy. So many of us have settled into our lives that are numb, predictable, controlled. And underneath all of that control is a deep, aching hunger to feel something. What if we stopped waiting? What if we gave ourselves permission to want more, to ask for it, to explore it, to enjoy it? You don't have to be dying to come alive. You don't have to hit rock bottom to wake up. You don't need anyone's permission but your own. So, as I close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. What are you dying for? Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually. What part of you is starving? What would it look like to feed it? Maybe it's sex. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's finally telling the truth about what you want. Whatever it is, don't wait until you're out of time. You deserve pleasure. You deserve joy. You deserve to live fully, deeply, unapologetically. Thanks for listening to Chat with Kat. If this episode moved you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. DM me on Instagram at the Transition Concierge, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, live like you mean it.